So I want to welcome everyone here tonight to Old Town for a plaque dedication for John Grib, who lived from December 6th, 1930 and passed away on October 20th, 2015. This will be our 62nd plaque dedication along St. Francis Street. The Walk Through History Plaque Dedication Program was designed to recognize those individuals that have made most valuable contributions to the wholesome fabric of our beautiful city of Florissant and North St. Louis County. At this time, I'd like to introduce the people who are here with me tonight. From our City Council, from Ward 2, Paul Maganelli. From Ward 3, Joe Egan. Ward 4, Jeff Caputa. Ward 5, Keith Schildroth. Ward 6, Tom O'Donnell. And Ward 7, Jackie Bogano. Also behind me is our Police Chief, Tim Fagan. Jessica Birchholt, who is the president of Old Town Partners, and Lori Lowry, who's actually my wife, but she's here as the chairperson of the Valley of Flowers. John was a very involved Florissant resident who lived here for 45 years. If something was going on in Florissant, there was a pretty good chance that John had a hand in it to some degree. John dedicated himself to Florissant, and it showed daily. Now I'd like to ask Jessica Birchholt from Old Town Partners to come up and say a few words. There you go.
Hi, everyone. I just want to thank you for coming out tonight. It always means a lot to me to see the family here and everyone coming out to support everything that they did for our community. It's so important that we remember those who had an impact on our community, and that we continue to have these plaque dedications to recognize the impact of everyone in the past. I know I love taking my kids for a walk and enjoying reading the plaques, so I'm happy to be a part of this, and thank you for your support.
Thank you, Jessica. Now we're going to hear from some of the council people that are not just friends of John and his family, but also served on the council. First is Councilman Joe Egan.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. I first met John Grib at St. Ferdinand Men's Club, where John and Sammy Gennaro, who I believe is here, would tend bar, and mostly John would just hold court. John loved holding court. I became much closer to John after joining the City Council in August of 2011. Although I was over 50 years of age, I had very little knowledge about politics and city procedures, and I had even less knowledge about planning and zoning. John was one of the foremost experts on planning and zoning. He took me under his wing and became my mentor, not only on planning and zoning issues, but on how to navigate the intricacies of city politics and City Hall. Sitting next to John on the City Council dais, on more than one occasion he would whisper in my ear, and he didn't whisper well if you knew him. "Inspector, you may want to stay out of this one." He called me Inspector, I called him Professor. I remember one particular closed session. It was very early on in my tenure on the council, and I might say that the council was maybe not as harmonious as it is now. It was a bit more acrimonious. And I was in this closed executive session, and man, I was taking a beating. 3 of the council members who are no longer on the council were just giving me a heck of a time, and out of nowhere I heard this big, gruff bear of a voice. "Hey, the inspector's right." And then John came to my aid and gave the council his opinion that was, as always, well-researched and well thought out. And it turned the tide on that particular issue, and for me, in a lot of ways, my tenure on the council. My fondest memories of John, when we were sitting around the table after a meeting and John would hold court over a few beers. During these sessions, John would talk about the old days of him and Mary at the Shady Grove in Walnut Park. He never tired talking about his children, the boys, Christine, and of course he loved regaling us with stories of the grandchildren. especially Sluggo, and I hope Sluggo's here today. Sluggo, you were a terror when you were a toddler.
It hasn't changed.
John Grib was an educator, a community leader, and a mentor. Most importantly, John Grib was a loyal friend. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Joe. Now we'll hear from Jackie Bogano.
Joe's always a hard one to follow. Don't be upset. Joe stole half of my stuff.
Let's hear the half that he stole.
Okay. But I think I got the better half. So as I look down this street at all the plaques of those who contributed so much to this city, John Grib definitely deserves to be here. Having served on P&Z and being elected for Councilman of Ward 2, John was a wealth of knowledge and always willing to share it. I was so lucky to have been able to serve with him. He was a great mentor and a great friend. The things I remember most about John was the love of his family, and he is true about Sluggo and all of you. There was a lot of late night conversations about the family and about this city. So, and those were our social after hour meetings. So, but somehow we were always the last to leave. That includes Mr. Egan, because we were always going to split one more beer, just one more. So to celebrate John tonight, I have brought a cooler of beer. And in memory of him, I would like to just share one more beer with his family and friends. So thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Can I have a beer? We'll now hear from Keith Schildroth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me to speak today. I can't tell you the number of times I picked up the phone and called John for advice or guidance on all kinds of matters. In City Hall, outside of City Hall, things to do with the Knights of Columbus. John was always a true voice, and he didn't get upset too much. And he gave me the whole story, which I appreciated. But I remember the first time he called me, I didn't know it was him, and I answered the phone. He had just gotten elected. And I said, hello? And he said, 2 to 5, 5 to 2. And I said, hello, this is Keith Schildroth. What can I do for you? He said, well, no, this is John Grib. I'm the 2nd ward, and you're Keith, you're the 5th ward. So when I call you, I'm going to say every time 2 to 5, 5 to 2. And I said, well, okay, I don't know what that means, but, well, it's like radio talk, where they talk on the radio. And I said, oh, okay. So I always look forward to those 2 to 5, 5 to 2 calls. And I think about them a lot. This is a great recognition, and it's very deserving. And I want to congratulate the family and congratulate the committee for having this plaque for John Grib. Thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Now we're going to hear from Paul Maganelli.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for coming out. It's just great to honor John Grib. It's something that is very, very well deserved. But yeah, he was a great man. I still think about him all the time. I first met John, like many, in the St. Ferdinand Men's Club meeting. And you kind of knew not who was in command, but, you know, where all the history lied and where you knew where to go to find out what was really going on. But John, he encouraged me, a lot of ways, and he sponsored me to join the Knights of Columbus, and he showed me by example what true community service was. And I really have learned a lot because of his examples. And yeah, John, he truly cared about others, as everybody knows. And he took everything seriously. If he was going to do something, he was going to do it right. And he was going to do it not for himself, but for the benefit of others. And I mean, thinking back to Knights, he was a long-term trustee. And he always made sure that the Knights were doing everything correctly when he did the audits every year. And he even had suggestions, that they happily followed because they were the right thing to do. Probably the one thing though, on a lighter note, he was very proud of his bean soup that he made for the for the meat shoots. He took great care in in making that bean soup, and and of course probably the most heard statement after he was done with his bean soup was, "Costello quit screwing with the soup." But I sure do miss him and everything he did for this community. I do have a lot of stories. If you want to ask me about Sister Rosemary later, I'll be happy to oblige. But he truly was one of the great ones, and we're just all very fortunate to have had him here. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. People say to me all the time, how can I get involved in the community? The answer is to follow in the footsteps like John Grib. Join the boards, be a leader, serve the public, and dedicate time to the community you want to live in. John's willingness to get involved is why Florissant has such a rich history and why so many people want to stay right here in the city of Florissant. So now we're going to hear from John Grib Jr.
It's kind of hard to give a speech with everybody behind me. It's the first time I've ever done this. First, I want to thank the Florissant City Council, Mayor Lowry, on behalf of my brother Joe, my sister Christine, and most importantly, my mother Mary, for bestowing this great honor on my father. When we got the word, I guess 2 or 3 months ago, that this was going to happen, I mean, our phones just lit up with each other. It brought back so many good memories. This community meant so much to my father, and the people of the community were so important to him. I think you guys have talked about his public image, and he was out a lot, and the rest of us on this side of the room pay a little bit for that public service, for someone like John to devote that amount of time to the community. And my mother here probably bore no doubt, no probably about it, she bore the brunt of that. I can remember many nights of the three of us home alone with her while Dad was at the men's club, or the planning and zoning, or the Old Town Partners, or later the city council, or whatever it may be. And there's a support network behind someone like my father that allows him to provide his time to the community. And so thank you, Mom, for all you did to support Dad in his interest in the community. I also want to thank all the family and friends that showed up tonight. It's really hard for me to believe that Dad will have been gone 9 years in October. But seeing all of you here tonight just shows the legacy he left and what he meant to all of us and how important that legacy was. It wasn't just in public, for his family, for his close friends, for the members of these organizations. It wasn't his goal to be the mayor or the president of the men's club. It was to do right by the members of these organizations. And when he was on the city council, it was his goal to do right by the people of Ward 2 and make the best decisions for the city of Florissant. I learned so much from him growing up. Having the same name, it was a little intimidating when I was younger to be the son of one of the most known people in Florissant. I always thought to myself, how am I ever going to live up to that? But the thing I learned as I aged, just follow Dad's simple example. Treat people like you would want to be treated, be genuinely interested in them, and do right by everybody you run across. I think Dad did that. I think he set a great example for all of us here. I'm super proud of him. This honor means so much to me and my family that in perpetuity, whenever we walk up and down this, bring our grandkids here, our great-grandkids, there's his name with Thomas Jefferson and St. Rose Philippine Duchesne and Mayor Lowry and all the other luminaries that built the city of Florissant. He dedicated so much time to this. Thank you all for your support of my father while he did these things. And thank you to the city of Florissant and the leadership for recognizing him here today.
Believe me, we certainly appreciate you guys, the Grib family, allowing John to spend so much time with the city of Florissant and everything that he did. It meant so much, obviously, to the whole community, and it certainly means a lot. For everything you just said is why John was so important to us, and that's why we're doing what we're doing today for John, because of everything he did for our community. Now I'd like to read the plaque that we're going to unveil here shortly. John Grib Sr., 6 December 1942 through 20 October 2015. Over 2 decades, John served on the Planning and Zoning and as Ward 2 Councilman 2008 to 2014, dedicated himself to Florissant. A 45-year Florissant resident, raising 3 children. Became a teacher in 1966, prioritizing youth and development. His public service extended to the Knights of Columbus trustee, Old Town Partners, St. Ferdinand School Board, and Boy Scout leader. Recognized by Missouri for his exceptional dedication, John worked to ensure Florissant remained the place he called, quote, fabulous, affordable Florissant. John Grib. I'd like to ask some members of the family to step over there and unveil the plaque.